Welcome into the Speeding in the Pits podcast with your host, Wyatt Williams, myself, and of course, the next gen car lover, Connor Klon Huberty. How are we doing today, sir?
We're doing pretty well, man. Certainly have a lot to talk about this week. I've been waiting for this for a couple days here to get
Oh,
back in
man.
and share some thoughts with everyone. Some nice casual thoughts, I'm sure.
Well, the NASCAR drama gods have blessed us with an
Yeah.
unlimited amount of topics here. There is so much stuff that we are probably not even going to be able to get to all of it because there are so many things involving this previous race, involving off the track stuff, like Michael Jordan suing NASCAR. There is so many things. We got the Roval next week, the reconfiguration of that track. We're going to break that down, talk about our winners, what wins it this upcoming weekend. The round of 12 is now closing. We are one race away from the round of 8. I mean, we're nearing the very
Time's
end
flying.
here. It
Yeah, time's
is. It
flying. It's going so
absolutely is.
fast. I don't know about you, but it just feels like it's just ticking away too quick. But I don't know, faster than normal or something. But I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
it
No,
is a long
absolutely. It,
season.
it is. It is a long season, but I don't know what it is. I feel like the season just goes by in like 2 months. Like I feel like we
Yeah,
just had the Daytona 500 like a month ago.
yeah.
Like
It's
it
like
just
it's
doesn't.
like the middle kind of disappears out of it, right? Like the summer
Yeah.
is like its own thing, but then the beginning and the end are also combined into a season. So that's how I've always felt about NASCAR. Feels like there's almost two in one, but yeah, just crazy every
100%.
time he gets
And
to this point.
yeah, and we have the super short off season, one of the shortest in all of sports. So hopefully that goes by as fast as the season did, so we can get right back to the Daytona 500, and we'll just re-rack and reset at that point. But we've got to break down this previous weekend's race. We got a lot of stuff to unpack here, Kalon. All kinds of stuff. We'll start with Ricky Stenhouse winning, of course. Huge, huge, huge win for him and the 47 team. It was cool to see them get the win. Is he part spider monkey? What's the deal with him
Uh,
climbing the
Dude,
fence?
you
I,
see
I was
that?
kind of I was kind of getting nervous. He was gonna start climbing into the grandstands and climb up to where the spotters were. Like I didn't know where he was going with that.
I I couldn't be more impressed. And honestly, like as a kid, you saw Tony Stewart do it a few times. A couple other guys climb the fence after a win, but honestly, like I, as somebody that just hung permanent lights on the outside of their house and had to go like on the first level's roof to stand and look on like a second level, uh, I can't even imagine going that high. Like how casually he did that is terrifying to me. I was nervous watching it on TV, and I'm not even close to being there. But I don't know. I guess it just shows you the kind of guy Ricky is. Apparently, he's a heck of an athlete and does a lot of cross train or CrossFit stuff. So you can see it there. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, that was impressive, I have to say.
Yes, well, the pride of Olive Branch, Mississippi gets it done this weekend in one of the closest finishes. I mean, this is the season of close finishes. We have seen so many races come down to literally thousandths of a second. Excuse me. We had, of course, Atlanta, which was ridiculously close, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that's the what I think at the time was like the third closest finish in NASCAR
Something
history."
like that.
Then
Yep.
a couple weeks later, we're at Kansas, and they're like, "Oh, hold my beer real quick. We're gonna have the closest finish
Do
in
it
Cup
again.
Series history." And now here we are at Talladega in the fall, and we've had another crazy close finish. So this season, yes, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been I wouldn't even say up and down. I feel like at some points we were going in circles on a
Literally.
roller coaster here. It was crazy. Literally, Corey LaJoy was going in circles. But
That's a good
but
point.
to, but to move on here, overtime finish there at the end. What were your thoughts on overtime?
Uh, I mean, we got to attribute all these close finishes to the great car that is the next gen and to the great season it's put on here. But
Your favorite?
yeah, I mean, we could get into it again. Overtime was fine. It's just you feel for a guy like Kyle Busch, where 10 years ago you made the move to win the race right there, and unfortunately with this car, it's just not possible. So, uh, bummer that I guess it's a double edged sword because you like seeing a clean finish to a certain extent, right? At these tracks, you go to Daytona and Talladega, now Atlanta, but I mean, I appreciate that point. I appreciate the close finish, but it felt like everybody's gridlocked for 2 laps, at a track like that. That should be the last thing that's possible or the last outcome you expect. And that's all you get is the two guys that really took off on the restart, really kind of fighting it out towards the end. It's crazy that that's the world we live in, but I mean, they made the best of it, right? I mean, it was still entertaining.
Yeah, and that's what we had talked about literally last week. Like, if you go out of line to make this third line, people have to come with you. And if they don't, and if you don't get, I shouldn't even say people have to come with you. If you get out of line with less than 7 or 8 cars that
Yeah.
are all aren't perfectly connected, whoosh, you're going right to the back, pal. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened. I liked the move. And at a point where his season is where he's not going
Absolutely.
to win a championship, you got to put it out there. I just wish he would have waited until we got out of 4. If he would have done it when we got out of
Yeah.
4, I think it could have been a different story. And I even think some cars would have went with him at that point, especially the cars behind him, because
Yeah.
they're now thinking, okay, we're not going to be able to do this move in the turn, but if we're all headed to the tri-oval here, then we might be able to get something going. So I think if he would have waited until right on the exit of 4, but see, then it's, again, like I mentioned all the time, it's so easy to sit here Monday morning quarterback it, where like
Right.
if he jumps out of line, then nobody goes with him and he falls back to the back again. Then either way, you're 100% correct. It's a next gen problem. That's exactly what it is. It's your favorite car, and
Yeah.
it's
So
not.
it put on close finishes, so it's a great car, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Well, speaking of
it's
that
good.
next gen car, it had us 4 wide racing this weekend,
No, it didn't.
which was. I'll just
No.
give you the floor. Go ahead.
I all right. I've I will I'll play both sides of this because like there are certain things. NASCAR's had this video. If you're on Twitter at all or any social media and follow NASCAR's official accounts, like they've had this clip of the one they posted today was 8 minutes long. I think it was something like that somewhere. I believe at the end of stage 1. I'd have to go back and look for sure. Where we're running 4 wide all the way through the field, and at Daytona that's not possible. Track's too narrow, but you come to Talladega, they can do it pretty comfortably. And yeah, that looks great. Don't get me wrong. I was actually talking to my brother a little bit earlier today, just kind of exchanging thoughts about the race. And like I told him, like, yeah, in person, and Wyatt, you can attest to this too. You've been there, but seeing cars on a track like Daytona or Talladega in this case, packed up, racing together, there really is nothing cooler in sports to me. Like it really is like the thing
It's
that got me
incredible.
hooked. You see it once. I encourage anybody to go see it at either of the two tracks. It'll take your breath away. It'll probably make you a fan for life, like it did for me. Like it truly is a breathtaking experience. But at the same time, with this car, when you realize they're all running 70 to 30% throttle, they're 12 to 15 mile an hour off the pace. Nobody literally passed anybody, and they're just trying to save gas to get to the end of the stage or to their next green flag pit stop. It takes all the meaning away from it. And that's kind of what bothers me. And that's really the talking point is this car cannot pass at Daytona or Talladega. And all these people are going to say, yeah, but look at the 4 wide and look at that group from the back that formed on the top and look at all those cars they passed. Yeah, they passed all those cars to pull even with them because everybody's kind of halfway is trying. And then they just tried a little bit harder than those people did. And you're not really looking to gain those spots anyway. It's not possible with this car to actually pull past all those people. So it drives me nuts. Like I just can't stand going to literally my 2 favorite racetracks of the year and we're gonna ride around at 50% throttle. The leaders are going to, It always used to be a thing like, oh, you could save gas in the pack and drafting at these places when you're not in first. Well, now the lead cars in line are literally only running about 70%. So it's everybody. Like to me, that's just that tears it as far as I'm concerned. What's a good race and what's not? If we have those guys out front dragging brakes and laying off gas, that's miserable. Like we don't need that, and it's a shame to see what's come of the place. To be honest with you, I hate it.
Yeah, I think my big problem with it is, and like I don't at all think, when we mention like the leaders running at 70% throttle, like I don't think that this is a driver problem. Like this is absolutely not a driver problem.
No,
This is something they have to do.
I
Like
think the
with
drivers
this
are making the
car.
best of a situation that
Yeah.
sucks. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I mean that's all they can do, because if you do go out there and you are pushing the pace and everything like that, running in the front like that, you're going to burn way more gas than the guys behind you. So now you're going to have to come in and have this early green flag stop, and you're going to get yourself out of the draft, which is going to really screw your day, as Daniel Suarez's situation happened. We'll
Boy,
get in. We'll get in.
boy.
No, we'll just address it now. We'll just address it now. I I like Daniel Suarez. I do. I think he is a what's the word here? I think he is a very interesting personality in the sport. I think he helps the sport in a lot of ways. He got us our race down in Mexico City and was a big part of that. That was the most bonehead thing that I think I have ever seen in my entire life. And nobody will ever be able to convince me that he wasn't just trying to cause a caution to get his lap back. You could show me anything you want. Nothing in this world will
Yeah,
show me and tell me that that wasn't what he was trying to do. That is exactly what he's trying to do. Every other car that was off the pace the entire rest of the day, what did they do? They got at the bottom of the track and let the pack pass
that's how
them.
it's always
That
been.
is
It's the bottom or
that
the
is what
top. You
you
get
do.
one or the other. Yeah, you get one or
That's
the other.
exactly what you do. What you don't do is zigzag in front of the pack, and then instead of choosing which way, I would have even accepted if he would have went to the top and sat and let them all go underneath. But
Oh,
no, he zigzags and sits right in the middle,
I,
and the pack has to split around him. And then the second that he sees this gap, yes, there was a 2 car length gap there, but the problem is BJ McLeod is running 20 mile an hour faster than you.
right.
He's
Yeah,
going to hit you right in the rear end, and what happened is going to happen. Like it was just such a, like I said, I like Daniel Suarez. I really do. I think he's good for the sport. I think that he can have some success at this level, but that was just a stupid, and I'll even go as far to say selfish move. He was just trying to get
yeah.
himself back onto that lead lap, and he nearly ruined a guy like B. See, and that's the other thing too. BJ McLeod doesn't run every week.
Open
He only
driver.
comes
Yeah,
out. He only comes out and runs the certain races every year at Daytona, at Talladega, and a few mixed match here and there. Mostly the super speedway stuff. So you got a guy like that who comes out. This is something he loves to do, and you're just going to ruin his day because of this, when you could have, like, you're not going to lose the draft. The guys in the back were far enough where you could have caught their draft and stayed with the back of the pack, and then the next caution, stage break, anything like that would have got your lap back. It wouldn't have been a problem. But now that is karma. That right there is karma. He gets sent into the inside. It ruined his whole day. I don't think he ever got back to the lead lap, did he? Because he ended up getting 2
I
laps
don't.
down.
Yeah, he was 2 down at one point. I don't. He was never relevant. I mean, he finished 26. I mean, after a bunch of guys wrecked out and he could just float
Yeah.
around the track the rest of the day, it was pretty easy to gain some spots, but just ridiculous. Like that, like I said a little bit ago, you pick the bottom, where in this case the bottom was sealed off. So you get the top. Like we talked about with the 4 lanes, he had to pick and choose. And for some reason, I don't know how he didn't pick just the top by himself and didn't make guys split them. I just, I don't, none of it makes sense. Then he clears himself, like you said, he's 20 mile an hour off the pace, jumps in front of a guy that's going to run him over, and got what he deserved. Unfortunately, at BJ's expense, it ruined his day too. But I mean, just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand the thought process. There is no thought process, I don't think, at all. But and
No, the thought process
brutal.
100% to me, like I said, you can show me anything you want. SMT data, I don't care. The
Doesn't
the
matter.
thought process to me was he was just going to cause it chaos. He was going
Yeah,
to try and cause a
true.
caution behind him, a ripple effect, and hope and pray he wasn't involved, because at that point, I don't want to say his day was over, but it wasn't looking good. And a caution would help
Yeah,
him a
yeah.
lot if he wasn't
You're in
involved.
trouble.
Yeah, so a caution would help him a lot if he wasn't involved. So he did that. I wasn't a big fan of it. It
No,
was yeah, I don't know. And it
it
caused
can't
a
be
wreck.
standard practice. Like that can't be
No,
expected
no,
of anybody.
no,
That's the thing.
please no. If guys start doing that, yeah, that'll be I'll be so mad about that. But speaking of wrecks, we had
couple cars.
a couple cars. We had the biggest wreck in Cup Series, not just Talladega history. Talladega gives us the big one every
time.
like every time we go there. But this was the big one. The biggest wreck in Cup Series history, collected 28 cars. 28 cars. That is over half of the entire pack. That is well over half the entire pack. That's almost 75% of the pack.
Yeah. Yeah, it
was crazy. And so yeah, and there was that was a whole situation too with the whole red flag thing. And
disaster. There's Elton Sawyer making good calls again.
It's
I
just,
think he was making calls, but he's in charge, so.
Well, I just don't understand how NASCAR can be so here's what I'll say. The only consistency with our officiating in NASCAR is inconsistency.
Yeah.
That is the only consistency. Last week with Josh Berry, we had the whole situation. Yes, it was dumb. Yes, like it was just.
But according to the rule book, it was right.
But according to the rule book, it was correct. And that's fine. And that's fine. And that's fine. I can live with that. I can swallow that pill. What I can't is the next week we have, I don't want to say the same situation. There were way more cars wrecked, but we had damaged cars, and some of them got towed back to the garage. Some of them got back to the pit road. Like, there has to be some way. This DVP, the damaged vehicle policy, needs to be changed now. I'm tired of Elton Sawyer just saying, oh, well, we're going to address this in the offseason. We'll deal with this next year. No, This needs to be addressed now. This is a problem. This is a huge problem, might I add. And it is just causing there's already enough chaos in the playoffs. We don't need chaos from the tower. The track provides enough of it. The track and the drivers provide us enough chaos. We don't need the tower providing chaos. And every week, I feel like every week we have these conversations where there's some crazy, outlandish call or some inconsistent call. We have to find something consistent, whether if the car will fire and it can meet minimum speed, good, send it back. If the car will not fire, or if the car it's too damaged to move, but it will fire, send it back to the garage. I don't care, but we have to find a certain set rules here with this DVP.
What the problem with this is?
It's your favorite car. That's what the problem is.
Because the next gen, you can't get back to pit road with two flat tires.
Your
car's not even that beat up. It can't get back to pit road. That's
we have this air jack we're putting under the car that
work. Where is that
whenever
thing?
the tires go down, we'll be able to drive it back. It doesn't work. It does not work. It was a piece of garbage, just like the next gen car. That's exactly what it was. It worked exactly how a next gen part or piece should work. Trash. It was trash. It doesn't work. Nada. Nope. Zilch.
Well, and that's the thing.
Frustrating.
I hear you and I agree 100%.
Sorry for my rant.
No,
it's ridiculous.
You said it. You said everything as you should. I just what are you going to change? Because what is that? What consistent rule is there for NASCAR to change right now? They don't
ownership of NASCAR. That's what we should change.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that, I'm sure too here. But I just don't know. Like, people have been saying, like, get rid of this or change that rule, and it's like on Sunday at Talladega there was no rule. Like, they were just drawing stuff in the dirt and trying to make it work. Lord of the Flies.
It was Lord of the Flies.
It wasn't. It was.
Oh yeah, your car's good. Send him back to pit road. Nope, your car's not good. Take him back. Your car's good, but yours is not.
They lifted a red flag and didn't move the pace car. The guy
what is that?
It's a yellow. They couldn't move. The mess was still in front of them. They lifted a red flag so cars could work on. So you could work on cars on pit road, but not all the cars were back on pit road yet. So why would you lift the red flag?
It is.
Who are you lifting it for? Chase Elliott? I hate to say that because he's fan favorite, and I love Chase, but like, is that what we did this for?
Yes. And
Yeah, I mean,
I was
maybe, but
appreciative of it.
but it's crazy. Like, what it can't be that they think they're sneaking stuff by people, is it? Like, is that what we're
No,
really doing here?
no. Well,
Because
God, I hope they don't think the
it's
NASCAR
way
fans are
too
that dumb.
obvious, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
hope. I pray they don't think NASCAR fans are that dumb. Like, oh my gosh, if that's what they think, and they just thought they were going to sneak that by, they must think we're idiots. I mean, they must think that we are dumb, bad, dumb.
I
So
mean, you're not even watching the race if that's something you think was okay. Like, it's insane. I don't know. I have no way to describe what that was other than it was nothing. Like
I
it was
love.
somebody who's never watched racing calling decisions up in the
Yeah,
booth is what it was.
That's honestly the perfect way to put it. I love what Denny said on his podcast this week. He said sometimes perception is reality, and
Yeah.
being a Chase fan myself, it looked like there was some favoritism toward the
There was
nine.
some perception.
There was, I mean, there was some perception. There was a lot of perception.
Yeah.
And sometimes perception is reality. Like this weekend at Talladega, perception was reality.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything we saw or what we thought we saw was exactly it. The term of the race, the wreck. I mean, again, our two favorite super speedway racers, Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano, managed to run each other over and causing this thing to start the whole mess. So I would like a stat. I was thinking of this too, and you could go back to the Gen 6 car just as this wreck was happening. And I know Brad pulled the SMT data showing like that he tried to lift and didn't try to run.
Well, but if you look at that SMT data, he barely, yes, he lifted, barely lifted.
And even if he didn't, whatever, or even if he did, great. Joey was behind him. It's the next worst culprit. How many people at Daytona and Talladega have spun off of the nose of Brad Keselowski? It's got to be more than 10 in his career.
Carl Edwards, just name
Carl,
all
yeah. I mean, it'd be McDowell's 500 that he won. He hooked a guy going in the corner, or Joey hooked him, or whatever. Like between those two, put them both in there. There's 50 people probably.
Yeah, wasn't the 500? Wild. The 523 wasn't
21.
That Joey
21 going down the back was.
Yeah,
I think Brad was going to win it, and then Joey just ran him over and they wrecked each other or something, and then
they were teammates at that time.
The 22 500. I remember watching it happen because I was sitting in the stands. I think Brad got 2 or 3 people that day. He flipped Harrison Burton. Like it's got to be 10 plus. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's a lot. It really is.
It's always those guys. And like you said, it's not just a coincidence at this point that it's the same 2 guys. They just everybody over.
Just running people over. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, frustrating. That's what I would give this weekend as a grade. Frustrating, just for frustrating, because there was just, I mean, you name it, from the next gen car being the next gen car to, I mean, just everything. The crash, the way it was handled, the officiating. Hey, but guess what? At the end of the race, we kept all cars on the ground. Okay, during that wreck, no cars lifted off the ground, and that is what we're going to focus on. That's what matters.
We ran 4 wide for 8 minutes. That was awesome.
It doesn't matter. Awesome. It doesn't matter that when these cars have flats, they sit on the bottom of the car and can't move. That doesn't matter. No,
it doesn't matter. Not think of that?
It doesn't matter that we've got poor officiating. That doesn't matter. What matters is we kept the cars on the ground, guys. Look at that. How great was that? We did it. This was a successful weekend because we kept the cars on the ground. This is so stupid. I might start keeping a stat of focusing. How many non-flips we have. Or another stat I'm going to keep. I'm going to just keep track of the social medias in the offseason for NASCAR and see how many times we see this 4 wide clip over and over and over and over and over. They're gonna post it twice a day.
Yeah, it was sweet.
and it does look cool. It
In
does
their
look cool.
defense, it was cool for a couple laps, but once you
It
realize,
looks cool, but then once you realize the guys are going 20, 30 under what they could be at that
and
rate,
nobody's going anywhere.
it's like,
We were literally doing parade laps at speed. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, it's
that's
just
all it is.
it's bad. We gotta we gotta figure out something with
Out there
this
like the
car,
Blue
man.
Angels flying in formation. Like, did a
Don't
nice
no,
job
like
of that.
exactly. It looks great in pictures. Don't play it in a video because you'll notice they're going 50-mile-an-hour under what they should be.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's wild. I went to bed watching the 2005 fall race that Dale Jarrett won last night just to cleanse the palate a little bit. And I tell you what,
oh, you enjoyed watching the cars actually go fast?
the first 8 laps of that race might have been better than anything we saw on Sunday. I'm not kidding. And I'm not one to say I need the pass back. Like, obviously there's a lot of variables. The track's been repaved. The Gen 5 cars, Gen 4 cars were death traps on wheels. Like, there's a lot of things we'll never go back to, but we got to get closer to that. I don't care what it takes to wrap this up. It's got to get closer to what it was 20 years ago than it is now, because it's
that was
not
our
really
best
competitive.
Yeah, that was our best super speedway racing in the restrictor plate era. It was just great. It was great. But yeah, that was Talladega. We had a crazy weekend at Talladega, and now we're gonna get into something crazy as well. Something that, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I was gonna say this, I'd have looked at you pretty puzzled. But Michael Jordan is suing NASCAR at the moment. Now, it's not just Michael Jordan. Granted, there's a lot of stuff going into this. It is also his counterpart there at 2311 and Denny Hamlin, as well as Front Row Motorsports. And to give a breakdown of what this is, there's a lot of moving parts of this. There's a lot of things. Basically, there's a charter system with NASCAR. NASCAR gives 36 charters throughout the entire pack. There are 4 cars left over that are for people to qualify into the race. And of those 36 charters, they're divvied amongst all of the teams. If you have a charter, you're guaranteed in every single Sunday that they go racing, or every Saturday, whenever they race, you're guaranteed, if you have that charter, you have a spot in the grid. Whether if you qualify good, you qualify bad, you reckon qualifying, it doesn't matter. You have a spot in the grid. Now, when the original charter agreement was signed, there were 19 teams that were part of that charter agreement. 11 of those teams have folded. Only 8 still remain of those original 19 charters. There's no profit for these people to own. Since 2005, Bob Jenkins, owner of Front Row Motorsports, said he has not made a dime in NASCAR. They have not seen a profit since 2005. And this new charter agreement has made it even worse now. They are not able to do anything. So all the teams are upset about this charter agreement, everything that's going into it. They're looking to make a new charter agreement. Well, 48 hours before the playoff starts, NASCAR approaches all of the teams and says, here is a take it or leave it offer for your charter agreement. If you do not sign this, you risk losing the charter system and your guaranteed spot every Sunday. Essentially strong-arming teams into signing or not having a guaranteed ride every Sunday. All of the teams signed, but 2, and those 2 that didn't sign are 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, because when they looked through that contract at the very last minute, when that contract was put together, the final pages of it state, here's the interesting part, you cannot sue us. We are not legally obligated or binded to anything that's gone on in this negotiation process. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Never been to law school a day in my life. But here's all I know. Usually, 99.99999 continued % of the time, if you've done nothing wrong, you don't really mention that. Now, if you've done wrong things and you've done wrongdoings, usually that's included. And that's exactly what's happening here. Michael Jordan, in his words, called them monopolistic bullies. So, now that I've given the whole spiel, Connor, this news broke right after we recorded our podcast last week.
Yeah,
We literally texted each
always.
other. Of course, this broke right after we recorded. So now we get to dive into it. What are your reactions? What are you thinking? And kind of where do we go from here?
Where we go from here, your guess is as good as mine. But I guess credit to credit to Front Row Motorsports, Bob Jenkins, credit to Denny Hamlin, credit to Michael Jordan, and there's an investor with 2311. Don't remember that guy's name, but I think it's the right move. I don't know what you get out of it, but you hear owners talking all the time, and it's pretty common knowledge. You're not racing Cup to make millions of dollars as an owner. You're doing it for the fun of it. You're doing it because you love it. That whole deal. But yeah, that's fine. Like, it's a passion for you or a passion project for a group of people. That's awesome. But at the same time, like, if NASCAR wants to grow and expand and develop into the new interest markets for people, that can't be the case. Like, I don't know how you're going to convince somebody to invest millions and millions of dollars that isn't really into racing to buy a team and never see a dollar of that back or make any of it. Like, I just don't, I don't know how that was sustainable anyway. So props to the guys for putting it forward, but where we go from here, I mean, you have wishful thinking, right, of ways you can change it. And I'm sure the revenue sharing with the TV deals will be relooked at. I'm sure that's a big talking point there. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know what you do.
Well, and a big point being made by not just the owners involved that are suing, but also Kyle Larson spoke about this a lot. Brad Keselowski spoke about this weekend as well, is the fact that all other major pro sports in America, football, basketball, baseball, all have seen massive increases in players being paid. I mean, we're like, even college kids, even college athletes now have seen this revenue increase. They are now name, image, and likeness able to be paid.
Right.
NASCAR is the one sport that has seen a decrease in the 2000s, early 2010s. The top tier drivers were making somewhere in the double-digit $1 million. Now, your top guy is only making single-digit $1 million. And again, that's not like a complaint or anything. That's still a lot of money. And these guys aren't complaining. But what they're saying is, we're doing this pay. Model. Yes, we're having this pay decrease. We are taking pay cuts. Why is NASCAR still making the same amount of money? Why are they more? Why are they making more? So these drivers aren't complaining because they're making millions of dollars. That's not at all what it is. They understand, that they're, ridiculously blessed to go race NASCAR and get paid millions of dollars. What they want to know is, how is NASCAR making more money and we're seeing less? How does that work? And that all plays into this as well. It's a flawed system, and one that we are going to get, I think, really down to the bottom of here in this upcoming season. But what right out of the gate, what 2311 said to all their workers was that this will not affect you in any way. We're not going to lay anybody off. We're not taking cuts, even if they don't have a ride next year, which is kind of the worry at the moment. Is if this goes through, NASCAR's already got the vast majority, all but 2 teams have signed this new agreement. So will it really be that much of a loss if they cut 2? Granted, yes, it's one of their most highly grossing teams, and people coming to watch for MJ and watch for Bubba and watch for Denny and watch for Tyler Reddick. But will they not give them a ride next year because of this? That's kind of their worry. And 2311 has already said, like, this is not going to affect their workers. They're going to continue to do what they do. They're not going to let this get in the way. And I think that this definitely gets resolved in the offseason. But
yeah,
this is going to be an interesting offseason, and this is going to be the talk of the town for a long time to come, I think, in this offseason. And I think we get it worked out, but it's just as simple as NASCAR's got to start splitting off some pieces of the pie. They can't just be taking the whole pie and more. we got to divvy this up a little more. We got to start giving teams, more. And the teams aren't, to your point earlier, the teams aren't saying like, hey, we want to make these huge profits. Like, they understand that racing is a very low profit thing. Most of the time, not a profit. It's for the passion, it's for the love of racing that these guys do this. But the fact that of the original 19 teams that signed that charter, the fact that only 8 remain,
Yeah.
that's where the problem is. That's where the problem. You
Exactly.
look at Front Row Motorsports. Front Row Motorsports won a championship. They won a championship, and they now cease to exist. And they stopped existing a mere 2 years after they had won that championship. Wasn't it 2 years or was it 1 year?
Yeah, Furniture Row, that was, I think because Truex went to Gibbs, and then, I think they ran, were they part of, no, that might have been it. Yeah, it might have been 19, would have been their last, 18, 19 would have been their last year. It was
Because
only
he
a year
won it.
after.
Yeah. So
Won it in 17.
that's right. That's where that problem is. This is not like these are the smaller guys who have done nothing. And granted, yes, Furniture Row was a smaller team, but these are teams that have championships. These are teams that have had a lot of profits, or not having a lot of profit, but have had a lot of on-track success, and they are having to fold because there is just so little money to make that they are spending so much that they physically cannot keep the doors open. That's where the
Right.
problem of this lies, and that's where we've got to figure out something to do with this. As for NASCAR strong arming, that's pretty crazy. I didn't know
Well,
that happened until all this
yeah,
broke. I did not
no,
know all that happened until this broke.
you could hear a little bit, not to that extent, but you could hear a little bit with just how negotiations had gone all year. I mean, this was supposed to be done before the Daytona 500 this year, and we're still talking about it, and we're going to talk about it now for a couple of years because it doesn't sound like they're going to court for at least a year. So it's not going away anytime soon. Hopefully, they can sign a waiver or somehow get 2311 in Front Row out there. But yeah, it's just you know the France family, obviously founders in NASCAR, and they're still involved today. I mean, it's a cool story that it's been passed down through generations, but something's got to give here at this point too, because I mean, there's no growth here. Like the drivers getting paid and new teams coming in, that's a sign of growth. That's a sign of development. That's a sign of expansion. And there's literally none of that right now besides 2311, which it sounds like things haven't gone very swimmingly for a team that had a lot of funding and put their best foot forward. Case in point that this new agreement with the charters and the playoffs and everything they have, it's in the next gen. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing and making it accessible in a profitable business. So I volunteer if the France family needs to start selling off some of the assets in NASCAR. If Daytona becomes available, I don't have any money. I'll be there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll
Let's head
show
down to
up.
the bank. We'll go
Yep.
and get a loan, me and you, and we
All
will
right.
co-own Daytona International Speedway.
If it comes up for sale, I'm first at the door. You can tell me no, but I just want to hear it in person that I don't have anything to give you, but I want it.
Can you imagine if that actually did happen though?
I mean,
Daytona got sold.
Daytona, I think, is technically their headquarters, so they'd probably never actually sell that, but they
That
do
would be
own other tracks. A part of what's that? Is it Speedway Motorsports Incorporated? There's that like different
Yeah.
entity that I think is still NASCAR owned. I mean,
Yeah, what is it? What are the tracks? Why
I
can't I
think
remember?
like Homestead's one of them.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta. I want to say is Dega. Dega would probably be in there too. Oh, I don't know. There's like
There's just a
10,
bunch of them.
10
Yeah.
or 11 of them or something. But I mean, the big thing is like the lawsuit is basically saying that the France family and NASCAR hold a monopoly over stock car racing. And I mean, how do you break up the business other than saying, hey, we're going to sell off some of the tracks we own, or we're going to sell off the next gen to the teams themselves, and like they can kind of control the car. And there's probably a few different ways they can look at selling off control, but I don't know what they're going to actually make them do. I mean, or just rework the media deal or something, but sell ARCA. That's another option. They could sell
Yeah.
ARCA off and claim that's a whole new series. And I don't know. There's
It's
probably hundreds of things they can get ordered to do, but we'll see.
it's gonna get it's going to get really interesting. That's for sure. I think we are far from a resolution on this one.
However, they
And
get rid of the
it's
next gen. Denny, hear me, Denny. Do it. I don't care how you do it. Please
would you
get that in there.
trade? Would you trade? Well, I guess you're not really a Denny hater. So
No,
this is a dumb
no.
question then. It's a dumb question then. I was going to say, would you trade a Denny championship for the next gen car to go away? And that's a no duh.
Oh,
Of course you would. Yeah.
I'd
I didn't
trade
think about
anybody's
that.
championship for that. That's fine. I don't care. I'm a race fan. I like all the guys. I like the evil characters and evil villains, and I like the popular guys. Like I like them all. There ain't one guy out there that I don't want to see have success. Like it's kind of fun to
Sure.
cheer for both sides. I just want to see good racing. But yeah, I mean Denny is definitely at the forefront too to speak his mind. So he's definitely someone that NASCAR's probably had circled for a while anyway as someone that's
Real
an enemy of their work.
real quick before we wrap up this lawsuit conversation, um, how crazy would it be if we've spent all these years waiting for Denny to win a championship? He's done everything else in the sport, everything else you can do. How crazy would it be if when he finally wins the championship, if it happens this year, it is amidst a lawsuit with NASCAR?
I
Like,
mean,
like, like
they don't
the
even they just
France.
drop the trophy at his feet as he's
That's what I'm saying.
celebrating.
The France family has to hand him his championship trophy. Meanwhile, he is suing them. Like that just now I am so gung ho and in on a Denny Hamlin championship this year, as if that already wasn't my pick, as if I already
Right.
haven't been tooting this horn all season this year, all season last year, and the season before, as if this wasn't the horn that I've been tooting. I'm in. I am so far
Oh,
in now at this
oh
point.
yeah.
I am dying to see this. Or Reddick too. Because even if they
yeah,
have to give it
yeah,
if they have to give it to a 2311 car too, same thing where they have to
yeah.
hand Mike and
Either
Denny the
one,
trophy.
either one. You just gotta get two of them in the
Oh
final four,
boy,
and you got half the
that
field, and you're
would
sitting
be
right in the driver's seat, literally. So
that would be great. But
yeah, it's that's dream scenario. Just they don't even present him the trophy.
you can't write stories better than that. I mean, that's like
They won't even give him the trophy.
no, I don't think they would. But okay, perfect. So now we've broken down the lawsuit. Now we move on to our preview for this upcoming week. We're headed to Charlotte Roval for the ending of the round of 12. Round of 12 has just been crazy. I mean, it's been nuts. We go to
Yeah,
Kansas, which is one of the best, if not the best, mile and a half track. We get Talladega, which is always chaotic. And now we go to the Roval, which is already chaotic enough, but now we've reconfigured it to make it even more chaotic. So,
sure.
looking ahead to this weekend, what are you most looking forward to here for the end of the round of 12?
The end of it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a big Roval guy. I mean, Talladega was what it was. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's just unfortunately not good racing right now. And then Kansas was a good race, but yeah, I mean, we didn't get Kyle Busch, so kind of bummed about that. But in reality, I mean, it'll it'll be interesting. You look at the cut line. You got names like Joey Logano. I mean, Austin Cindric's not a bad road course racer down there that could win the race. So there's a few compelling points to the playoffs. I will give it that. Like there are things to pay attention to, but yeah, I don't know. The configuration scares me because that turn 7 is the absolute perfect drag strip for absolutely punting somebody back to pit road. So I'm sure it's going to get used in some capacity, and I don't really
Dude,
blame the guys. But
turn
it's
7
going to be a
is
mess.
going to be crazy because
Yeah,
you already have 5 and 6 leading up to 7, which is pretty nuts as it is. It's already uphill like that with this new reconfiguration. Did you see where a bunch of the drivers were talking about this week while they were doing sim work with the new reconfiguration? The cars, if they got them fast enough coming off of 6, the car would actually jump and lift off the ground.
great. Can't wait. That's going to be just might as well put a flaming
They
circle
don't
in the middle or the flaming ring
exactly.
out there somewhere too. Have them jump through that on the way by.
Dude, it's perfect. It's
They
so
do realize
perfect.
Charlotte's like a really good mile and a half too, right? Like we
That's what
don't
I'm
have to
saying.
do
Like,
this.
why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And if we're going to do this, just go to a road course. Like, let's just go back to Coda. Coda has a ton of jackknife turns. Like, what are we doing? What are we
Or
doing?
go to Daytona for a third time. It holds the Rolex. It's a
Dude,
much better road course than whatever this garbage is. If I see one car jump, the TV might get shut off. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that until right now. And I mean, how did we not find that out?
there were several guys that said that. They said, "Oh yeah, we don't think it'll lift off the ground, but in the sim, if you got it going fast enough on the hill there, it would lift off the ground."
Can't wait. It's gonna be so cool.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for all the Instagram posts and Twitter posts of how much fun that was. That's great.
Dude. You look thrilled.
It's so bad, man. I can't. What are we doing? Imagine the 30 car pile up after one guy does a backflip. It's going to take 4 hours to clean that up. They're not going to know what to do. I mean, so seriously though, like,
dude, it's so good. It's so funny. And on top of that, right after that big hill, I'm literally crying right now.
Yeah, well, if they don't wreck there, they're going to get them in 7.
That's what I'm saying. You got 7 waiting right behind it, and it's like it's a parking lot.
It's going to be a disaster, dude. They're going to wreck the whole field 3 times in one lap.
Dude,
you're going to get in 1, 6, and 7. You're going to have the whole field wrecked. Can't wait. It's going to be so cool because the next gen's such a good road course car too. The racing is going to be awesome anyway.
Oh man, you look thrilled.
Yep, it's
you
great.
Look so thrilled.
Love the Roval. God, yeah, I didn't realize how optimistic I am about this weekend until right now. I'm pumped,
dude. God, that's too funny. I knew I had to wait to bring that up to you. That's why in our rundown I only put turn 6 to 7 to remind myself. I
was wondering why 6 was on the sheet. I thought we were talking about 7. Yeah,
I knew. Good. Oh man, I knew you'd have a great reaction to that. I had to bring that up.
Happy.
Whew, all right, sorry.
Evil Knievel might race this weekend too. Watch out. It's gonna be really cool.
So sorry. Okay.
We're good.
On a more serious note now, sorry. I'll get my stuff together here. What wins it this weekend at the Roval?
Honestly, it's going to take and I mean this honestly, it's going to take like controlled aggression. You're going to have to move somebody at some point. It's just the nature of the racing with this car. Like you got to put the bumper in, probably turn 7, like we just talked about. It's going to be the best place to do it. It's going to take the guy that's able to move somebody without wrecking himself or the field and staying up front most of the day and just being able to kind of control that. Like it's going to be a track position battle as it always is with this car. You have to win races off pit road, but yeah, whoever can do that, you're probably looking pretty good. It's just going to be one of those physical races.
Yeah, I'm excited too because I think there's a lot of, sorry. I keep on looking over it. I keep on looking over at 6 and 7. That was too funny. There's just going to be a lot of spots for passing like 7 and many other places, and the chicane too, leading up to the start finish line. Mm-hmm. They kind of brought the front back at the end of it,
widen it out again. Yeah,
a little bit to make that more interesting as well. So I mean, there's a lot of great places for passing. So I will say that is kind of nice. I do like that they did that. And at least if we're still going to keep beating this dead horse of the Charlotte Roval, at least they are reconfiguring it. That's another thing that I felt like was kind of a positive. Again, I'm with you. I don't think we should be doing the Roval.
They put a jump in this year. It's great.
They put a jump in.
I'm done. But yeah, the reconfiguration aside, like it was a unique idea back when the package on 1.5 miles was horrible. It was cool, but I mean we've kind of exhausted that option, I feel like. But yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
They put in a ramp. Okay. Well, who is best able to land their shot off the ramp? Who's your
Uh,
especially want to land the jump for the entire race and get a win here?
I'm partially doing this because I need him to really get some momentum going to make this championship four, like I was talking about. But I'm gonna go Tyler Reddick. I think he's been quiet now, like quiet to in a bad sense, like almost too quiet, and something needs to give. So just kind of wishful thinking almost on my end, but I do think road course guy, 45's capable car to do it, and I do think he's one of the best drivers in the field. So I do think that to make my story make sense and him get to the championship four, it's a win this weekend for him, and then obviously build on some momentum in those next three. But yeah, I'll go with Tyler.
Well, I'm going to hit you out of left field here. Hit you
I
with
like
something
it.
that you
That's very
probably
possible. I
probably
almost
never
took Austin
thought
Cindric.
I would have said here. This year, we have had 18 drivers win a race. The previous record for different drivers winning a race, was 19. This year, we're going to tie it at the Roval. And AJ Allmendinger is going to come in and stun the whole world with this win.
Could see
He's
it.
going to shock everybody. Great road course
Defending
racer.
winner, correct?
He won at, yeah. Why was that? Because I thought for some reason he won at Indy last year, but that was Michael McDowell.
Yeah, McDowell.
Yes, defending winner here. But again, really solid road course racer, one of the best in the Cup Series.
Absolutely.
That's no questions asked or anything like that. And with this new reconfiguration, I'm looking for guys who are better at the road courses, who are going to be able to handle that stuff better and will know what to do more. And he's just that guy. He really is that guy. So AJ Allmendinger is my pick for the winner. Well, we've got a race on Sunday that will decide our next four out. And that's our next topic here. Who are your next four drivers out?
I'm having a tough time with this one because, like I said, I almost took Cindric to win this one. Just a little bit of road course background, Penske car, could see something like that happening. But I mean, Suarez definitely done. Briscoe definitely done. Cindric, I guess I'm not picking him to win. Definitely done. The only one I'd flip-flop back and forth on is Joey, but that 13-point cut, like Chase Elliott being that guy, unfortunately, that's only 13 points away. Chase is one of the best road course guys out there. So if that's the guy you have to catch, that's tough. So, and I picked Tyler Reddick to win the race, who's in seventh. So not going to happen. So I probably go Joey. So the four that are listed is out right now. I'll say they're the four. I just think it's too big of a hill to climb with the guys you have to chase. If it wasn't Tyler and Chase in seventh and eighth place, maybe a different story, but everybody else has too big of cushions.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this is exactly the four we picked last week to be sitting here in this situation too. I would like to add that as well. These are the four drivers. So, it's just going to be tough. It's crazy how much that huge wreck we were talking about earlier at Talladega affected things.
Dude,
Denny Hamlin
crazy.
Gets saved.
Yeah.
Literally
he was gone.
saved. He was done. He was going to be probably 17, 20 points behind the cut line. And
him
he's
and
not
Blaney.
making...
Blaney was only, I think, like single digit, like 3 points over the cut, I want to say.
Yeah.
At the point of that, too. Like, ridiculous jump for both those guys.
So that helped them out big time. And the person it really didn't help was Austin Cindric, because he was up there and contending, and Austin could have, dude, he could have won that race. He really could have. Yeah. And if he would have won the race, then we could be talking about Austin Cindric at the moment, currently guaranteed into the round of 8, which is crazy. But we do have one other driver guaranteed into the round of 8 right now. That is William Byron, of course. Seabell and Kyle Larson are right there on the cusp as well. If they have solid finishes in stage 1, I would imagine they probably get through, especially Seabell. Seabell's, dude, if he's top 8 to 10, as long as he can get from 8 to 10th in stage 1, he probably auto advances himself too.
Yeah.
It's for those two, it's going to take, I don't even know.
Take Rex in stage 1. like
it would take
ruin
they
your
would
day type
they
stuff
would
for
have to
sure.
be they would have to wreck with each other at the beginning of the race and take each other out, and the guys behind them would all have to finish in the top 15, 20.
Yeah,
and
they'd have
and
to have. Yeah, that's the good point. They can't just ride around in the back all day either. So
no,
it's a lot.
yeah, so I don't see them not making it through either. But yeah, I mean, we got one last race here before we head to the round of 8, which again, crazy to say, and it's going to be an interesting one. We'll have a jump and everything like that in the race, headed into a parking lot in turn
Get your
7.
popcorn ready. You might see everything this weekend.
I think we will.
Flying
Um,
cars and all, the whole deal.
dude, I thought that was so funny when I heard that today. I was like, I have to bring that up to Klon. I knew you
If
would.
that happens on Sunday, whoever thought of this reconfiguration should be fired. Like, I'm not even kidding you. The fact that we're even chancing this sickens me that is even a possibility on
They
Sunday.
don't think it's gonna happen. That I will add that too. They don't think the cars are gonna lift. They're saying that's just a sim thing.
But it happened.
But the sim
You don't hear this.
simulates.
You don't hear them taking off on the back stretch of Daytona in the sim. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You know, and at Coda, we see several big
There's
loops
hills.
where we see tires come off the ground, you know, and if they're saying if you get going fast enough,
I'm gonna start a stopwatch when cars have flats and see how long it actually takes to get a car from a flat spot of the track with flat tires to anywhere
oh my
out of the
god,
way.
dude, that would be
It
terrible.
might take a half hour. It is pretty crazy.
It genuinely might. But hey,
So
we have
whatever.
auto jacks.
They don't work. We have them.
They'll lift the car up off the
Yep.
ground and they'll be able to drive on flats, Con.
That's
You
what they
know,
said.
it's a
That's what I
foolproof
was told.
plan. It is a foolproof plan.
Go figure. Need a car with lifts, extra lifts when it has flat tires because it can't move.
Oh
Who would have
god,
thought?
you love the next gen car. That's your car, man.
Yeah. I honestly didn't dislike it that much until like the later part of last year, and now all of this year it's just been a slow and steady fall into the mood I'm in with this car. But yeah,
We
fired
should have
up.
known. We should have known in the
Yeah,
500. In the 500 when they were
right.
running half throttle
You're right.
and the leaders were like, we should probably pick up this pace here because they're just running slow and gonna catch us on fuel here. Right then. That's when we should have known.
You're exactly right.
That was our red flag. That was the point where we should have just picked up on that. Like, yikes, this is not good.
Yeah.
So,
That's
oh man,
that's not great. You're right.
Well,
I forgot about that till now. That's where this all started. But yes, that is exactly where it started.
yeah. Well, episode 4 in the books, and that was a good one. You had me cracking up.
I have a feeling
Talking about
next couple might be something here.
oh, it's gonna get interesting. That's for sure. I have a feeling it is going to get worse, a whole lot worse before it gets better.
Well, we got here this weekend with the Roval in Martinsville. I'm sure we're going to have some very positive feedback on the car between those two. So
Hey, at Martinsville, we've got a new tire we're running.
that's only what, the 6th time in the life of the next gen that they've told us that. That means this is the 6th time they've gone to Martinsville with this car.
This one's gonna work. This one's gonna work.
It sure is.
We're keeping cars off the ground. We're putting auto jacks under them for flats, and we've got our 37th new tire for a short track.
Can't wait.
We're on the ups. The ups. We're doing it.
They could have stopped after the 30th tire, but here we are. Did it again.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been an awesome episode. This has been great. Thank you all for tuning in. Please give us a like, follow, everything like that. Klon needs it. He's tore up
Yeah.
about this next gen car.
Yeah. Somebody tell me something good. I
So,
need positive vibes.
oh my
Vikings are
god.
off this weekend too. I have nowhere to hide, so we're
Hey,
stuck.
5-0 though. You got to be
5-0.
pumped about that.
It's all right. It's very, I mean, better than expected, obviously. We'll take what we get, but I mean, keeping things in perspective here. We got a long way to go. I mean, not everything's perfect. Aaron Jones might be out for quite a while, it sounds like. So we'll see.
Absolutely. We will see, and we'll see what happens this weekend at the Roval. Come join us next week. We will break down everything that happened in the Roval, break down what the 4 cut drivers are, whoever that ends up being. We'll talk about the round of 8 and everything that the drivers need to do to get to that round of 4 there in Phoenix for the championship. And yeah, hopefully we have some awesome jumps this weekend.
I want to see a kickflip. Somebody's got to figure that out.
That's perfect. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.